According to my math, it is a Friday. Welcome, my friends, to a Friday video where I talk about various things. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about some recent activity on my channel. I put a video up on Thursday about the Supreme Court ruling out of Minnesota. And this is one of those things. I knew there was going to be a lot of what I call pushback on the video. And by pushback, I mean a lot of people were screaming and yelling in the comment section. And I tried to address some of that in the video. And in fact, I mentioned in the video that I'd shot the video twice. In reality, and this is between you and me, I shot it 3 times. I actually decided that I needed to change the emphasis more than I did in the second video, and I shot it a 3rd time. And I really thought, boy, I'm going to resolve all these issues and put this stuff to bed so people can watch the video and not get so upset. And unfortunately, it didn't work. Now, here's the thing. If I hadn't done the video a 2nd or 3rd time, I think the first video would have gotten even more pushback, if that's possible. But it's kind of wild. But just so you know, some people may have noticed that halfway through the video, for instance, this book appeared in my hands. And I think by the time the video was over, maybe it wound up back on the shelf. I forgot how I edited that. But at one point in time, I realized I needed that book, and the video had already gotten so long. And then when I reshot it, so that's neither here nor there. The point of the matter is that I explained in the video that the Supreme Court of Minnesota issued a ruling, and some newspapers, I thought, had unfairly characterized the ruling in their headlines because they left an important part out of the court's decision. And the fact of the matter is that the Supreme Court wrote what I said was an inexpertly written opinion. I thought the opinion could have been written in a way that wouldn't have freaked people out. So basically, and I'm going to summarize here, someone got busted with a BB gun underneath the seat of their car. And in Minnesota, it's against the law to do that. There are prescribed rules as to how you can and cannot transport certain types of things in your car. And that BB device was on that list of things that you have to transport a certain way. Okay? And it says that you must do this whenever you're transporting this device in a public place. And so the defendant said, I was in my car, I wasn't in a public place. The court said you're on the road's a public place. And elsewhere in the statute, it addresses traveling on the road and what you need to do when traveling on the road. So clearly it's anticipating that the road is in fact a public place. Now, I tried to give some examples that I don't think anybody ever got to. But for example, let's suppose they said that a school became a safe zone, that you're not allowed to bring things like that onto school grounds, okay? And so one day you come in and for whatever reason, you've got one in your car, but you're in the parking lot of the school grounds, and let's assume the parking lot is part of the school grounds. And you say, no, I'm not in the school grounds, I'm in my car. You'd understand that, yeah, but you're also on school grounds, right? Okay, so if you don't understand that, I'm sorry, but I think that most people get that distinction, that they weren't saying about whether it's inside a car, outside a car. They were saying that, hey, you were doing this and you're on the road, and part of the statute addresses that. Now, I pointed out in the video, if you don't like the law and you're in Minnesota, complain to your legislator. But the court interpreting the law the way it's written isn't really the problem. So the weird thing is, I put the video up, it went live at 2 o'clock Eastern time. People were commenting within 1 minute. Within 1 minute, and they were commenting on things that they would know if they watched the video. And I know they hadn't watched the video because the video had only been up for 1 minute. The video is 21 minutes long. It's 20 minutes, 52 seconds long, but I'll round up to 21. The video is 21 minutes long. And within 10 minutes, there were hundreds of comments about how this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, about how it's a violation of the Second Amendment, and also about how if it's illegal to travel with that in your car, how do you even get one home from the store? And does this mean that they can just search your car at any time? So now they can just literally pull you over, rip you out of the car, and search your car with no warrant? And in the video, I addressed every single one of those things, but I discovered the problem was I addressed many of them in the second half of the video. Because now that the video's been up for a few hours, I can see the statistics on how many people have watched it and for how long. The average view duration on the video is 9 minutes. 9 minutes. And it is after the 9-minute mark, I believe, where I pointed out that the Supreme Court of Minnesota would have done better if they hadn't said, yes, the interior of your car is a public place if it's on the roadway under this law. They should have said, when taking a look at this law, if you've got this thing in your car, having it in a car won't make you immune from the law, saying you can't bring it in public. And I actually phrased it better than that in my video, but because I had 3 chances on that one. But the point is, if they'd written it that way, it wouldn't have confused anybody. But a lot of people read my headline, which, by the way, was the second headline. The first headline would have been even more provocative, I guess, now. But the point is, I asked the question, is the interior of your car a public place in Minnesota? And the answer is no, it's not necessarily. It might be under an extremely limited circumstance. And the number of people I had saying to me in emails and messages going, Steve, so now that they can search your car without a warrant, what's the Fourth Amendment even mean? And I said in the video that neither side had raised the Fourth Amendment as an argument because they conceded. The defendant apparently conceded that the search was lawful. Now, the search isn't described in the opinion because nobody raised it as an issue. And I assure you the attorney, if it had been pertinent, would have raised it, but didn't. They were arguing the simple question of that one issue. And the one issue is, if I'm not allowed to bring this into a public place unless it's handled in a certain way, am I bringing it into a public place if I do so in a car? Supreme Court says yes. Court of Appeals said yes. Trial court said no. Well, guess who wins, okay? But the point simply is that it was addressed. And I actually had somebody go, well, Steve, what about an RV? Now, I don't know if they're joking because they know I love RVs so much. Doesn't matter whether it's in an RV or on a motorcycle or in a car. There are ways that they've said, if you're going to transport one of these things around, out and about in the public, here's what you must do. And it's basically, it's got to be packaged in a way that's not going to be like something you're waving around while you drive. That's basically it. Now, I understand there's people out there who think that even that's a violation of a constitutional right. If you think so, again, if you're in Minnesota, take it up with your legislator. But the point is that this is what bothered me so much, is looking at the statistics on that video. I know that half the audience didn't make it past the 9-minute mark. And it was after the 9-minute mark where I explained how they could have done it better, how it didn't involve the Fourth Amendment, although I think I mentioned that earlier, how it didn't affect anybody else except for people who were mishandling or mistransporting things in public, and about how it's not correctly phrased the way that the local newspapers had it in the headlines. Because according to headline, the Minnesota Supreme Court has declared your car public property. It's not what happened. It's not what happened. And so I'm merely pointing this out because I spent too much time today trying to respond to comments. And I discovered that many people comment on something without watching the video and then don't bother responding to comment responses. So it's kind of like they just read the headline, jump to a conclusion, make a crazy comment that's answered in the video, and then move on to another video. So the good news is I had a couple people chime in and respond to other people going, if you watch the video, he addressed that. If you watch the video, he addressed that. But the problem is I can't make people watch the videos. And so a lot of people have seen the video. Some people made it to the end. I did at least once. Twice. But not everyone does. So now I'm thinking, if I'm going to do a video that's controversial, do I need to front load it? Because how can I really explain why these things are important without getting there first, you know? So I'm going to have to actually think about this. I knew going in that there's going to be a lot of reaction to this video. I did underestimate it, but I knew there was going to be a reaction. That's why I shot it 3 times. So I think in the future, I've actually got to start the video by going, in the headline, I asked, is this the case? No, it's not. But then, how do I explain that it's not without explaining what, you know, so it's going to take some work. But I think I can do it. Well, we'll see. We'll see. So I do think that there are more people on this channel who are longtime followers of me on my other channel. and who pay more attention to some of this stuff. Because I noticed that I can talk about topics on this channel that I talk about on the other channel without getting as much pushback. And I don't know why that is. The demographics might be different. I don't know. It might just be, these are super fans. I don't know. But I thank you for that. And that's one of the reasons I like to come to this channel and spout off, because I could spout off on the other channel, but it wouldn't fit in. So there you go. The video went up. Half the audience probably got to the point where I explained it. The other half didn't, and they're all off and running, so we'll see what happens. The second thing I need to mention is, if you watch my main channel, you know that I changed the format of the thumbnail. That's the actual little photograph on the screen that tells you what my most recent video is. You glance at the thumbnail, you might read the description next to it, and then you make the decision, do you click on that or do you click on something else like donkey gymnastics, right? But I changed it because I used to have it where there's a headline across the front, directly across my face, which is a screen grab of what you're looking at right now. That's what I did. And then I spoke to some people who said, Steve, they've done studies on this, and you will do better if people can see your face. And quite frankly, that font you're using overlaid over a semi-translucent gray screen on top of the screen grab is kind of sloppy looking. So you could probably clean it up quite a bit, make it more readable, and put your face in there and probably kill 3 or 4 birds with a single stone, okay? So I consulted with a dear friend of mine who is a graphic artist. She's the one who came up with the Lehto's Law logo, such as that scene up there on the Beware of Low-Flying Owls sign. She came up with that logo, and we discussed a bunch of things. We kicked some ideas back and forth. I'm going to take all the blame for how they currently look, but she gave me a lot of guidance, okay? And now here's the interesting thing. I mentioned this concept during the live stream on Sunday. And I said, by the way, some of you noticed that on Wednesday or Thursday, I changed my thumbnails. And I got a couple people, either through comments on the live stream or emailing me going, no, don't do that. And somebody actually said, if you change your thumbnail, YouTube will punish you. Like they'll hurt the algorithm for you. You'll get fewer viewers if you change your thumbnail. Now, interestingly, people often talk about what YouTube does or does not do, but people who actually know will tell you that no one really knows, because YouTube won't tell people what they do or do not do. And so oftentimes people are forced to experiment and speculate. And the point is that technically speaking, I changed my thumbnail every single day. I was using something that's similar, but it was different because the headline was different every single day and the background photograph was different every single day. And so somebody actually said, no, dude, that's a mistake. You're going to hurt yourself. Now, I know that that's not true, because besides the graphic artist I spoke to, I did speak to somebody else. I'm not going to say who, but I spoke to somebody who's extremely highly placed and knowledgeable about how YouTube does in fact work, who said, no, what path you're taking there is the correct one. So interestingly, as a creator on YouTube, I've got access to all kinds of analytical data. And I can log into my portal, or what do you want to call it, on YouTube, and they show me all kinds of data, and it's very granular. I can figure out in a particular video how many women watched it, how many men watched it, what their demographics are. And I understand it's not perfect, but it's close. It's close. It's certainly closer than the data you get for like radio, okay? And trust me, I dealt with Arbitron, so this is better than that. And so one of the things that they give you, and this is something that they would know, is they know how many people saw your thumbnail and how many people clicked on your thumbnail. They refer to that as the click-through rate, okay? So the point is that if I put up a thumbnail in the old style, I can look at the click-through rate, and then if I put up a thumbnail in the new style, I can look at that click-through rate. Guess what happened when I switched thumbnails? The click-through rate doubled. It didn't increase by 10%. It didn't increase by 20%. Either of those numbers I would have considered a success. It doubled. There's probably a really bad edit right there, for which I apologize now, but something just happened behind the camera. Made a horrific noise, and I had to go fix that and come back. But what I was talking about was the click-through rate on the thumbnails, and the click-through rate doubled. So the new thumbnails get twice the views of people clicking on them than the old thumbnails did. And let's face it, if there's any other thing you could change, what would it be? You want the thumbnail to attract attention. People go, oh, I want to watch that. And it doubled. It doubled. So for the people who said, don't change the thumbnail, I'm sorry, I did it. And by the way, YouTube actually has a function where you can put up different thumbnails and it will actually tell you which one performs better on the same video. And I was going to do that at first. And I thought to myself, you know something? I'm pretty certain this is going to work. So I'm just going to go ahead and try this. But it doesn't matter now. I now know that the new thumbnails have twice the response that the old thumbnails did. And it makes sense. And I'm sorry it took me this long. And I've gotten a lot of people telling me they like the new thumbnails. But I've had one or two people besides the commenter on the live stream and so on. But I actually had somebody send me a long, detailed email the other day and said, Steve, just to let you know, I hate your new thumbnails. And went off on about 1,000-word diatribe about how much he hated my new thumbnails. And I'm sorry to tell you, but when someone chimes in to let me know how out of step they are with everyone else, I wanted to write them back and go, just to let you know, the new thumbnails are doing twice as good as the old ones. But I thought, you know something? Maybe they're doing 3 times as good, but somehow it's subtracting out. No, that wouldn't work. Hang on. Let me think. The point is, they work. And if you're upset by that, I'm sorry, but understand the function of the thumbnail is simply to get people to watch. And that's that. I still try hard not to do clickbait. I still try hard not to do that. I do what I can to have it be a truthful thumbnail, but I want it to be readable and something that you glance at and figure out quickly, oh, what's that video about? Oh, it's about this. And so there you go. So that's it. I've run over. In fact, I shut the clock off when I went to fix up that mess, so I don't even know how long I've been talking. Probably too long. That's often the problem too. So there you go. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later.